All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of, well, at least 18 plus. Welcome to the second episode of the RawCutsGaming Podcast. Hey, we made it.
Yeah, we're too deep. Just like
My
me and his wife. Oh,
Hey, well, let's thank all the people that downloaded our podcast last week, which is CJ. How many was that?
1.
Nice.
Which
was you?
Which is me. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even listen to it. It's garbage.
Well, screw you all.
My name is CJ, aka the Solo Gamer, as Wood so lovingly dubbed me, and I'll be one of your hosts tonight. This evening, I will be joined by the hot taken, Twitter beef making, gamer extraordinaire himself, Aaron,
Whoa!
aka the Mav.
What it do, people?
Welcome, Aaron. And also tonight, we'll be joined by the Mr. Clothing Optional Man himself, Mr. Big D, a.k.a. the Naked Gamer. Ooh la la.
Wow.
If y'all could see the video tonight, it's a hot one.
Yeah. I didn't bring my dollars. I guess I could PayPal you. If I could see you, I'd just throw pennies. Here you go.
Yeah. That's
Dang, harsh tonight. Okay. We thank you in advance for tuning in to the rarest takes in the gaming podcast sphere. As always, we bring you our own unique take to all the video games while recording and publishing our episodes edit-free. We will be bringing to you our podcast via all the podcast listening staples every Tuesday. So far, you can find us on Spotify, Breaker, Podcasts, Public Radio, and Anchor. Right now, we're working on getting published to Apple and Google podcast services, so keep an eye out for those if they're one of your services of choice.
And hopefully next YouTube and Twitch.
YouTube and Twitch also, so then you can see the spiciness that is the Naked Gamer.
So hot.
Spicy is not the word I would use to describe you. It's more like en fuego.
Too hot to handle. Well, tonight we're going to be yammering on about what we've been playing, our thoughts on the Microsoft Game Showcase, and many more takes so fresh, they're raw. So,
the best tagline ever.
Big deal. Let's get into it. What have you been playing and how have you been doing, man?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm going to be boring in this segment. So I'm pretty sure last Thursday might have been the last time we played games. I was pretty sick the last 2 weeks, non-COVID related, and I finally started getting sleep this week. So I'm actually excited to start playing video games tonight. I did try to play the new No Man's Sky Desolation deal. I got about 10 minutes into a dungeon, and No Man's Sky promptly did its thing and crashed on me. So that was the end of that.
I heard they released a big patch because there was a lot of bugs today.
I looked through the release notes, and I didn't make it to the end with all of this addresses this bug.
Sure.
So I'm assuming I ran into that. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that. How about you, Woods?
Well, I played a lot of FIFA still. Like I was saying, I was really into the squad battles for my FIFA Ultimate Team on FIFA 20. And I'm happy to report I pushed myself beyond the, I guess, globally ranked threshold I wanted for that week, and I ended up being top 5% in the world for squad battles last week. So that was pretty dope.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Definitely,
wow.
And I've played. For those of you listening, I am in no way like a FIFA stud. Squad battles is definitely against PC. Like whenever I go into live leagues, I just get it handed to me. But squad battles is fun because you're trying to accumulate points to improve your rank, and at the end of the time period, whenever it closes, depending upon your rank, you get so many rewards. So I got a bunch of rewards that shockingly enough, because it's FIFA Ultimate Team, I don't think I got a player better than an 83 or 84 overall, despite having like 6 premium player jumbo packs to my name or some BS. So wasn't too thrilled about that, but that seems to be par for the course on FIFA. But yeah, I still enjoy that game. It's fun. If you're into that grind, it's pretty cool. And right now I'm working on, I think, the current season, which is season 8. There's once you hit level 15 during the course of the season, you unlock I think it was a striker that's like a 92 overall for free. So I'm trying to get that.
Nice.
Other than that, playing a bunch of Rocket League. And I haven't jumped into No Man's Sky, but I made sure it was downloaded. And I actually just picked up Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast.
The Academy?
Yeah, the
right?
Academy. Or yeah, Jedi Academy. So many of those names of those games, which was such a dope game. So I bought that one. So I'm finna to play that because still haven't bought Ghost of Tsushima. And
did you pick up Podcast Racing at all or no? The Podcast Racer that just re-released on PlayStation 4?
Pod Racing.
Oh, yeah.
Pod Racer? Pick that up at all or no?
I forgot if I don't think I did. So I think I was waiting for it to go on sale. So whenever it goes on sale, I'll drop cash for that. Or coin, I should say, in the digital age, whatever. But yeah, no. Very much looking forward to that. And yeah. I gotta get back in it too. Just was real busy over the weekend, and like D, I was feeling a little off, but then also like just so much stuff going around in the house, and it's summertime in Minnesota, man. You got to take advantage of it.
Get on the lake and get some sun. Yeah, I'm similar to both of you guys. I haven't been playing much at all this week. We had a slight COVID scare at my kids' daycare. They had someone come down with COVID, so they shut the daycare down for a couple of weeks, and we're getting them tested and kind of awaiting results. We've been pretty lucky in dodging all the symptoms and everything, but I've been working from home with both kids, so it's been kind of wearing me out. So I have booted up Concrete Genie. I kind of don't know if I touched on that at all last week, but it's kind of my palate cleanser after this Neo 2 and Last of Us 2 kind of heavier gameplays, where it's just kind of this fun, kind of this more lighthearted game where you kind of walk around with a paintbrush and you're painting genies on the walls and you're kind of fighting against bullying and stuff. So really colorful. Has a VR mode. I think you guys, if anything, might want to check that out at some point or it drops on sale again. I think the colors and everything would be cool, and using the wands to paint the landscapes and all that stuff would be kind of neat to see.
That sounds dope. Especially in VR too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so play in the controller mode. It's okay, but that's all I've been pretty much playing this week, man. So I'm looking forward to getting into games tonight and this upcoming week also. So
right, I gotta check check out for that new Super Hot update that just dropped. I also
did we confirm that dropped in VR? The updates?
No. So it's not in VR right now. I think they're working on the VR edition of it. I think I read that somewhere, but right now it's just for the regular. But it's free if you already own Super Hot or Super Hot VR. So that's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of other like kind of cool gaming news that occurred and games I'm definitely like looking to try to get back into. I also picked up the DLCs of Arizona Sunshine. So D, we should play that because you'd like that game. That's a pretty fun. Finch is always our buddy Finch, who also plays games with us over PSN quite often. Shout out to you, Ryan.
I feel like I bought that because he told me to buy it.
Right. So I forgot to buy the expansion pack, so I picked those up. I think it was like $6 for both of them combined. So yeah.
All right, right on. Well, you kind of touched on gaming news. Let's get into the big topic of the week. Microsoft finally had their big showcase today. So earlier today, Microsoft had their summer game showcase. With this showcase, they showcased what they said was 9 of their 15 studios, and claiming there's more to come. We'll get into it a bit, but I kind of want to hear you guys' thoughts on what Xbox had on display and what Microsoft showed off today. So D, what'd you think about the conference? You had a chance to watch it, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was in and out, but I made sure I read up on it. I'm so excited to talk about this. I'm giving it a big D 5 out of 10.
I see what
Oh my God. I was so jazzed up to be like, man, I was so happy coming out of that. And then I don't know if we're getting old or what the deal is. I keep getting this feeling that I've seen all of this before. And I don't like it, and I wish it would go away. But watched Halo, and Woods and I were pretty synced up. CJ, I hadn't heard from you on it today, but the Halo 1 was like, what is this, Halo 2? Like, you see the little grunts running around, and then I saw the bigger guys, and it's literally the same guys that they've had for 20 years now. And then one new big bad, and we're supposed to be super pumped. Like, yeah, it looks great, but I already had that expectation that it would look like that on the new console. It was neat to see like something like an Everwild, Magic World, and trying to live with beasts, and they didn't really show any gameplay with that, which was a bummer. I would have liked to have seen something like new IP like that. And then kind of the same with Fable. It was just more of a trailer, no real gameplay. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for me. They pretty much just did what was expected of them and nothing more.
What do you think?
I have a lot of thoughts on it as well. So it was not to like bag on it. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was great. Like D had stated, like, they started with Halo, which is a good move because obviously Master Chief's still their flagship boy, but it just it all over the internet, the graphics were getting bagged on, and the fact that I guess whatever the studio is that develops it now, I forget the name.
343.
343. That's right.
343. Yep.
Thank you. Like, evidently they developed a whole new engine for this game, and its budget is like $500 million or some BS, and it does not look like a $500 million game. It's like you said, D. It looks like it has some good gameplay, but I expect that from Halo. What I want to change is not go to the ring that looks exactly like the OG Halo 1.
Right.
And
then it looked like the story was very much, there's some new bad guy that's going to finish building the Halo, and he's going to blow up everything, which is literally all of the stories.
Right.
Right.
And it had same enemies, same weapons, more or less the same gameplay, save for super gimmick.
The grappling hook.
It looks like a gimmick.
Master Chief went by Apex real quick and killed the robot guy.
Right.
Well, they had the open world, that kind of looked a little interesting. I'll see how that kind of plays out.
Right. And I touched on this on other conversations I had, is I feel like, that's great and all that it's more open world, but Destiny did that 7 years ago?
10 years. Oh,
yeah.
So it gets a lot of clout because it's Halo, but damn, that franchise looks tired. That's all I can say.
That story better be ridiculous in there.
They claim it's larger than the last 2 games combined, but I'll be curious to see that.
But what are they gonna fill it? My fear from what they dropped on the trailers, right, is he's going out and looking for those anti-aircraft stations, right? So is it just going to be like any Far Cry game where you're going out and taking out endless outposts then? And it's just hyper repetitive? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, but going through the list of stuff that they showed, some of it did look pretty cool. Like D said, Everwild looked pretty cool. I thought Avowed looked cool. We'll see if it's just a Skyrim ripoff or not, but it looked pretty dope. The Gunk was okay. The Medium actually looked super cool. That I thought was one of the cooler looking games, just because it loads in basically like the regular world and then the upside down, for lack of a better term, all at the same time and flip it between them. That reminded me a little bit of
Stranger Things.
Yeah, that reminded me of like the Ratchet and Clank trailer where they were like dropping in between worlds. Or
Yeah, that
all
was
over the
cool.
place.
Yeah.
So
And I know you guys didn't play a ton with Destiny 2. Kind of did that too when they did the Taken King.
Okay.
You'd kind of
Yeah.
flip between the two worlds, but it was the same map. Just it had that different skin on it.
Right. Interesting.
And then I don't know. There's a few other games that looked interesting. Some of them I know are super timed exclusives like that Tetris multiplayer mode. You know that's coming to PlayStation 4. The
Because isn't it already on Switch?
I forget. I don't know.
Tetris Effect isn't it?
Like
It's Tetris 10. It's Tetris 101 that's on Switch, where it's like a battle royale.
Oh, yeah, it's a battle royale Tetris, which would be sweet if that actually came to PlayStation 4. And then I'm curious about Crossfire because that's like a free to play game and it looked pretty cool. And then there's one other thing I wanted to comment on. Oh, that was the DLC for the Outer Worlds, which also looks great, and they showed that off as it was like a big thing, but turns out Sony actually dropped the trailer for that exact same DLC pack like before or right as Microsoft was doing it.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Totally undercut them?
I guess. Which was interesting to say the least, right? So I think my biggest takeaways from that show are really what they didn't show. They didn't show the and granted it was a game showcase and then I was anticipating seeing games, but I thought maybe they'd like Sony did with the last PlayStation dump was they would show that the littler cheaper console in the end and then maybe even drop a price, of which they've done neither. So they got another event coming up in August evidently, but geez, everybody's pushing up against the wall. Nobody has a clue what the prices for these things are going to be. It's real interesting.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm eagerly waiting this price drop, for both consoles. Who's going to go first? Do you want to be the first one to get your price out there so you can get the pre-orders and get that going? Or do you want to be the second one out there to try to undercut the other one? I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'm in line with you guys. There's going to be no raw takes here. I was kind of a dud. I think I've been listening to some other people's takes. I listened to the Kind of Funny take, and I heard a good take on there in that Microsoft almost doesn't feel like they're trying to compete with PlayStation at this point. It feels like we have true 3 consoles, and they each have their own path in life. PlayStation wants to have these big AAA games that they're going to sell you on the $60, $70 game on. Nintendo is going to be their Nintendo, and they have their quirky, Marios and racers of the world and that sort of thing. And if I feel like, and family games, yeah, absolutely. And I feel like Microsoft is kind of going for this Game Pass where they want to get you in the Office 365, get you subscribed, and have this word of mouth to your friends and say, hey, you should sign up and get you hooked at this $15 a month. And yeah, may not be buying these $60, $70 games, but if they can get you hooked in their ecosystem, then that's more than what they want than trying to sell you on this giant AAA game. I think a lot of the games we saw today, there was Halo. You guys touched on a lot of the games. State of Decay 3. Forza.
That actually looked graphically, granted it was just a CG trailer, but graphically that looked the best of any of those games by far.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was going to be my game that I touched on with State of Decay 3. The trailer kind of looked Last of Us vibes, where she's out in the woods and with a bow and whatnot. But what I saw today online just before the call here was that it's in early development right now. Right. So it sounds like it's going to be.
And that was the other thing. I felt like when I watched the PlayStation show, they had at least had some release dates for some of their games. And, there were no release dates for basically all of these games but Halo.
Right.
Even the PlayStation games had some release dates that were out ways from console launch, too. And I brought this up in our conversations earlier. Like, it's starting to feel like this launch should have been pushed a smidge when they had more games ready for it. Because
Right.
really,
Well,
what's the big pre-order? What's the pre-order draw right now? PlayStation's got Spider-Man,
Right.
and
Halo. It's Halo.
And Halo for
is
Microsoft.
Halo going to be ready for launch?
That's what
Okay.
they say.
They got to have Halo ready
So
for
then
launch.
that's it.
One that I was
We got
really,
two games.
one that I was really surprised on was Forza Motorsport. You know, it looks beautiful. Not holiday 2020. We didn't get that for the launch window, and I think that was a big miss for Microsoft. I think that would be a really good system seller or reason to upgrade to have this beautiful racing game. Now, you're more into the racing ecosystem? I know you were excited about PlayStation's Racer. What are your thoughts on Forza? Do anything for you at all, or no?
I mean, yes and no, but like that was the thing is like Sony showed off a pretty awesome and long trailer about Gran Turismo 7. You didn't get that from Forza. And that trailer looks so similar with like all the action going on and like the racing garage and everything like that, and then their Laguna Seca and everything. Racing in their, GT3 Lambos out there, but that trailer was CGI clearly, and I guess no, I take that back. He said it was in engine, which is fine, but I feel like it lasted for like 30 seconds and it was over, and I wanted to see more.
It wasn't much gameplay.
None of them, and that gets to the point of not having release dates. I just feel like they're just not ready yet for this next Series X of games, which is, unfortunate. But lots of games are shown off. You guys have any other thoughts on any other games that were shown? And you want to talk about one more thing I want to touch on here was I like that with Destiny 2. I'm not into Destiny 2, but I do like that they're releasing all the expansions and everything to Game Pass. I think it's going to keep everyone in that ecosystem, keep them playing. I won't be playing it, but you guys think about getting into Destiny 2 anymore? I know D, you're a little more of a Destiny player.
Yeah, I might pick up the expansion once it comes down. I don't need to go dropping 30 or 40 on it when it first comes out anymore. I've kind of played it out, and then it takes way too much to get back in the raids. And then one of my biggest complaints was that they still haven't addressed is that they don't go back and then update all the other raids for the light levels. And so then you basically, once you get to a certain point,
you're super OP and then the old ones are useless.
Yeah, the old ones are useless, and then they don't drop even if you do go back and beat them, they won't drop shit at your level. They drop shit at that level of that boss, and it's just dumb.
Waste your time.
On the Game Pass front, being in hardware IT, this is kind of in my wheelhouse. This is where things are going. It's the subscription model, and Woods brought this up at a different conversation that Microsoft was thinking about licensing deals and stuff now and getting out of the hardware biz, because I guarantee you they don't make much money on the boxes, and they could give two shits on the hardware. They would much rather have a monthly payment from everybody and then possibly partner with some third party that every 3 years just ships everyone a new box that you get for paying 20, 25, 30 bucks a month for everything.
I agree entirely. Well, almost entirely, but a lot of that. And CJ, you made the transition and to talk about Game Pass, and D, you just expanded on it. And, that was my other takeaway from the show, was, if anything, this was as much of an argument to not even buy their box as anything else.
And it's to sign up for Game Pass.
Right, because you can play those games on your PC, and then with xCloud, you're going to be able to stream it. And if I understand that there's still hiccups with that as far as latency and everything goes, but the internet's only going to get faster and more accessible. That's just the way it is. Like you think about, hell, smartphones and TV streaming services didn't even exist like 12 years ago. And there's people like, oh, it'll never work. I'm like, bullshit. Like you asked anybody 5 years ago that I could get on a TV an integrated app for my television for Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever, and I'm getting 4K HDR, Dolby Vision, and Dolby surround sound pumping through. Like, I get that there's a difference between, frames per second measurements, and then obviously latency especially for multiplayer and everything, and input lag. But I mean, we're gonna get there, and it's not gonna be that far around the corner as people are thinking.
They just got to figure out the right way to do it.
Right.
And there's always a math problem, a physics problem with the input lag, and I think they just got to work around that with how much gets downloaded locally to a device. And I'm having a hard time seeing past that, just because you press a button and now you got 30 milliseconds minimum.
Right.
Sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 200 when everyone's home with coronavirus.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
and it's they just got to figure out the right system.
Right.
But
I have faith that technology will eventually advance that to that point.
And that's the way it's going.
Right.
Because like I was saying, they don't make dick on that box.
No, they lose money. They all lose money on the boxes.
It's got to be a giant pain in the ass for them to go through all this with AMD and to get a box sealed up and then resend it out to developers to develop on this specific thing. Whereas, and I was telling you guys this too, Citrix kind of has this model where they support it for like 5 years or whatever. They call it a long-term service release. And I feel like that's kind of the thing where Microsoft is trying to get to. Here's this box with this spec, with these things on it, and this will be good for X amount of time. And you pay your $30 a month, you put all your Game Pass shit on it, and you're good to go now. End of story. You get the whole catalog. And I think they're going to be happy as a clam. Because I thought I read what they already got 10 million for $10 a month.
Yeah.
Subscribers, I believe that is the current
something insane.
Like, and they're getting away from the gold, that they're kind of packaging it all into one, whether it's gold and Game Pass and NextCloud,
silver and all that other
$15.
Yep, and that's smart because it's a catch-all for $5 more, and who's going to say no to that? Nobody's going to bitch about that $5 when you can take it everywhere. So, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, the showcase itself was interesting for me from that point of view. Is it, like I said, I felt like it made a case because every single time they showed a game, it showed that logo, or Phil Spencer was up there talking about it beforehand, saying all of these games going to be day and date on Games Pass, both for Windows PC and Xbox. The best version of Xbox for you, or some BS, right?
Yep.
Every single one of them. So why do I need the box?
Yep.
You're not. And I'm still curious. They came out today and said that they have no plans to bring the Game Pass to other services, whether it's Nintendo or PlayStation, but I'm still skeptical.
I doubt that. Fuck that. They want it everywhere they
just
can.
Don't have it turned out yet.
No, I know. And that's what I'm talking about.
You have to remember, like, why would, obviously PlayStation would get a cut or Nintendo would, but, why they're not necessarily getting a cut of the games. So there's a lot to iron out there.
There is. I mean, and they can say that they don't want to undercut their new box that they're trying to roll out here. But if in 2 years they're in the same spot they are with this current generation, I would not be surprised if we see it come to Nintendo. And then
not even just Nintendo. You can fucking stream it on your television or through Roku. Like,
no, it's coming to those, but I'm talking more so that they're direct competitors versus.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm with you. I would think that they're future thinking 5-6 years ahead towards the end of this next console release and what that's going to look like, and if they can get out of needing another box. And that's the way that they would get there, would be that they would just go software only.
Yep. Okay, well, any other thoughts, Udi, wrapping up the game showcase?
Nope, that's what I got.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we're all in kind of lockstep. Now last week, we kind of touched on PlayStation and how that's going to affect them. Do you guys think it has any effect on Stadia or Nintendo? I know Nintendo's kind of its own coloring box, but Stadia, I feel like they're trying to do a lot of what xCloud is doing, just doing it way worse. If like anything that platform rolls out is horrible and wrong and bad. Do you guys think they have any chance to survive?
I don't know about Stadia. I mean, Google has an endless runway like Microsoft, though, so you never know. So long as Google doesn't make it just like vaporware like they do with half their shit, it'll survive as long as Google wants it to. And if they want to get competitive in that arena, they can work to improve it drastically. But it could rebound. Hell, anything could rebound. If No Man's Sky and Star Wars Battlefront 2 can rebound, Stadia can rebound.
They're bringing the talent in. They're trying. They're hiring on was it Jade Raymond and some other high level game developer people, but that sort of thing takes time. It feels like they could have just sat in the hopper a little bit longer and been able to actually deliver on what they promised. Maybe but rolling it out half baked really hurt them. So, but like you said, anyone can rebound.
I also think Switch is going to have, or Nintendo's going to have a rebuttal of the Switch. There's another rumor last week. And Nintendo's been hella quiet about everything really this year.
That's true.
In general. And there's someone passed around some information where they found out, I forget if it was like in a retailer or whatever else, but it was making the rounds about like a total of like a bunch of new SKUs that don't exist anymore or haven't existed before are coming out for Nintendo products that were consoles. So whatever that means, we'll see. If they bust out a new like Switch Pro, great. But I think they're gonna have to do something. Not necessarily this year, but probably next year. And yeah, I would say they have to do something at some point.
Yeah, I think they might, but it just depends on if they want to play these third-party games. These third-party games are going to be so powerful, and there's already a leaps and bounds difference between the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and the Switch. Once the 5 and the Series X roll out, Switch is not going to be able to play these games. But I think they might be content not having them. They're fine putting out The Witcher, where it's just this dumbed-down version of the game, and people will buy it. People just buy anything on Switch right now. It's the console to get. So I mean, they probably have to at some point, but I think they're fine being Nintendo and having their crappy online and getting gobs and gobs of people to play Animal Crossing and Smash Brothers and go about their way. So
I think they're finding their niche. As the gap widens here with and we were hitting on it before, the AAA titles moving to $70 here, and the consoles being $500 a piece, and now we got a $20 a month thing for Microsoft. Nintendo's going to sit down in the lower end of the market because guess what? No one else is there.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're gonna float more towards a upscale version of mobile games. Which is where I think they're sitting right now.
Right.
And then they keep coming out, like you said, CJ, the interesting, just like they've always done with Wii and all that stuff. They're going to come up with interesting peripherals and cool ways to hook it up to a TV, and they're just going to do their thing and be Nintendo for now.
Well, that's a good point about them just being upscale mobile gaming because, I honestly believe too that is the path that they're trying to take with the Switch because. Yep. It's definitely replaced the 3DS and 2DS, which how many tens of millions of those things were sold? Like if you count the 3D, like the DS platforms as one platform, it's by far the most successful console in history. So yeah, who knows? I think my MD. I know you're gonna touch on this later, so I'm not gonna steal all that thunder. But I the one thing, talking about what does PlayStation have to do? The one thing I now am contemplating for this next gen is for my third-party games, do I switch my ecosystem? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I'm buying a PlayStation because I love the first-party titles and all the other exclusives that they get. But for, like, the Assassin's Creeds of the world and so on and so forth, that are going to come to everything, maybe I'll switch to Microsoft because Microsoft is
like Games Pass with a PC.
Or if like
or
the whatever little
version.
mini box that they that they sell for $150, $200.
The cheapy Xbox.
Right, that could just stream shit. Like, it's just the backwards compatibility thing is a thing. And Microsoft has made clear what their intentions are. Still don't know from Sony. And I want to be able to play my games if I want to, potentially forever. So.
Yep. All right. Well, I think let's wrap that segment up. And I don't have anything else to say than what we've kind of covered already. So I don't want to beat the dying horse here. That could be Xbox.
Man, I love beating dead horses.
I know.
So not as much as you love beating your raw meat.
As much as Woods loves beating live horses.
We did mark these episodes
Blue
explicit,
Factory.
so it's probably good with you two jokers. So let's get into our little segment time here. So first, we're going to do trophy time. This week, I want to go over my first platinum. It is what set me down on my path of trophy horing and hunting. The Order 1886. Now, I came to this game relatively late, and I had a great time with it. Played through it really short and just stumbled across the trophies pretty naturally and ended up platinuming it without even trying. A few days later in my email, I got an email for a free theme that said, "Hey, you're awesome. You get the platinum theme for the Order." I'm like, sweet. You get free shit when you platinum games.
Oh, man. When Sony used to be charitable back in the day.
When you used to get the 20% off coupons at the same time I got that theme. So one thing I like that PlayStation does that I've noticed they do with their games recently is they make their platinums attainable. Spider-Man, God of War, Last of Us, all their first-party games are trending towards this area where you're not just going to stumble across it like I did with the Order, but it is definitely attainable. And for the trophy hunters out there like myself, it's relatively easy and it's kind of a good way to get you in. So, I think, did you platinum Spider-Man?
I did. That was the first one I'd ever done. And like you said, I was a day one buyer. So, and I kind of like what they do there. If you get in on it right away, it's pretty easy. But I haven't even looked at with all the DLCs on there what it would take to do it now. It's probably pretty tough.
Well, the DLCs count to their own little packs. That kind of gets into the Hitman 2 issue, right, where each of them their own DLC pack. But I like what they're doing now with these first party games. You can get in there and platinum it and not have to kill yourself too much. So I got to give a shout out to the Order 1886. Now, I know it's a not well liked game, but it's definitely what set me down on my path of trophy horing. So that's my trophy time of the week.
Was there any tricky trophy to get on that one?
There's a couple of collectibles, here and there, but like I said, it just naturally came through on that game. So nothing too hard. It was just kind of the first. Everyone has their first. Mine happens to be the Order. So
Cherry Buster,
swimming in sevens.
You'll never forget your first, CJ.
Yeah.
And man, that one was pretty, but didn't have a lot of depth to it, did it?
No, it was one and done, baby. So D, let's hear your what do you got going in the Naked Truth this week?
Oh man, backwards compatibility. And
I'm gonna get the timer ready. I'm gonna get the timer ready. Here we go.
Oh my god! All right. So we were dancing around all this already, and how PlayStation doesn't have an answer for Game Pass. Microsoft has decided that this is the path they're going down, monthly subscription, and then they're trying to make it so that all of their consoles can play the discs from previous generations all the way through the original one now.
You ready? Hold on, I'm going to time it. Here we go. 5 minutes.
All right.
Go, D.
We know for a fact because on PC you've been able to download emulators for God knows how long. So it's definitely not a question of technical ability. If PlayStation wanted to tomorrow, they could announce that you could play all the way back to PS1. Like, it's true. This is a money play, and I feel like they're confused. They haven't made a decision yet because they don't know. They see Microsoft doing what they're doing with cloud, basically, and possibly some sort of container emulation thing that they're doing on Xbox One X. they're seeing what Nintendo's doing on the other side, and that's what I was getting with you guys the other day. Like, I feel like part of the people at Sony are seeing Nintendo go, once a year, we're going to release a new mini NES, mini SNES, mini N64, and we're going to make $1 billion during holiday season. Can we do that with PS1, with PS2, with PS3, and just keep that in a cycle? And then the other thing that pisses me off in there is they release about, an eighth of the games when they do that. And it's not a continuously updated platform. It's not cloud. It's not anything. It's just a way to suck money out of people. And now when you want to blatantly do that, like Microsoft's going to do on a monthly subscription, I'm more okay with it because you get access to that full catalog and they're not really going to fart around with the old games that are on there. It's just going to be a list that's on there. And you're going to be able to get it. I think PlayStation needs to get off the pot and catch up on the cloud subscription, and get out of the weeds. They're up top. They got to be in some sort of situation where they're just not making a decision, and it's got to stop because, and we hit on it too. And even online, there's more people talking about the Game Pass than there were the games that they showed off. This is a real thing. And if PlayStation's not careful, this might be the one issue that eats them alive. And they have the better titles, and they need to figure this out. So that's what I got.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think you hit it on the head a number of times there that, I think Sony's strategy was honestly milk the remasters, because what have they been able to do all this generation? That was actually one of my biggest criticisms of this generation for the first couple of years, was just like, sweet, the BioShock collection. Yeah. Sweet, Last of Us remastered. Sweet. It's just like one after the other. It was just these remastered games. And I'm tired of that bullshit. Just like Microsoft is doing. Sell me the game once, then let me play that game, the most optimized version for whatever system I'm playing on it. Period.
Yep.
And let me have my catalog just like I do in Steam. And it's just there.
Yep.
Well, I totally agree.
I feel like the monthly subscription model lets them make all of those choices, and it's the easiest thing to do. And you know what? Maybe at first, the real answer, like what I was referring to earlier on the show, is $20 or $25 a month. And you know what? If you just open the whole damn catalog, that's fine if that's the answer. Because you know what? If I get access to everything for $200 a month, that's probably way less than we spend on games every year anyway. Even if you include the 1/5 of the console, right?
Well, so
$100 plus.
This is where I would have I agree with you from that standpoint for the person that is their MO. But for people like you, CJ, and people like me, especially me, is that going to fly versus like the ever expanding like catalog of perceived digital ownership that you want to have and maintain? Like, are people like us who love those collections, those ginormous collections, going to evolve like we did with movies to just, okay, I guess I'll deal with whatever is just on Netflix or Amazon Prime or Hulu, right? As opposed to actually owning these titles.
Yeah, I totally agree. And my one thing I'll touch on here, and then we can kind of wrap this up, is backwards compatibility. What is Sony's backwards compatibility going to be? When I see things like Yakuza 7 that just got announced that said coming later to PlayStation 5, does that mean I can't play it backwards compatible? My PlayStation 4 version backwards compatible on there? And it's just not going to be up-res, or am I going to be able to play it at all? NBA 2K said that you got to buy the Ultimate Kobe Edition to play your PlayStation 4 version on PlayStation 5. But does that mean if I buy the $60 version, I can't play the game backwards compatible? To me, backwards compatibility means I put in whatever game I want from this generation, right, and it plays. Now, it may not have the texture pack or whatever, but can I play the game? And I still haven't gotten that answer yet, which has me slightly concerned. So Yeah, I think that we kind of touch on everything backwards compatibility. Woodsy, what is on your pile of shame?
The better question is what isn't on my pile of shame. It's large. It's definitely in charge, and I just keep adding to it, buying games in it. But sorry, ask your question.
Well, what I think we should do with this segment, we kind of kicked it around last week. So Twitter lets you put up a poll. You can put up a poll of 4 games. Let's find four games, and we can put it up either on the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast handle, or we can put up on yours, maybe your handle, because you have slightly more followers. But let's put the poll up and have people vote on which game you should play on your pile of shame. And then if we have that, we can play along, and yeah.
So I'll just go through then my catalog, and just what I think I'll do is I think I'm going to start with a AAA-esque game, or at least a good single player adventure game, that one of the many I own that I've been meaning to sit down and play and just never have. So one of them that will be up in there in this poll will be The Witcher 3 for sure.
Yes.
So we'll see what others. I'll have to go through my catalog and determine what others are in there. To make that first poll, but I'll start doing that analysis probably tomorrow, and then we'll create the poll, and then hopefully by recording time next week we will have announced the winner, and I will have already started playing.
All right, we can get a little our gaming book club going.
Is there a way to export your purchased list from PlayStation?
Sort of. The problem is that it includes, like, if you buy like the game, like the complete edition of any games, like it itemizes a lot of the time. It will itemize like the regular game from each DLC pack in your total purchase histories. I've done it and then tried to like download it into like a CVS file, and then all that other
that's
stuff.
What I was thinking.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I will attempt to do that. I think I'm just going to scroll through my library on my PS4 and see what's up. I also have all these games on discs too, so I'll have to look through those. But yeah, I mean, dude, there's some games like I said, I've never played. I probably own Skyrim across like. Well, I own it on PC, on 360, on VR, and on PS4. Never played Skyrim once either. So I have a problem.
You have an opportunity, man. You have an opportunity.
Yeah, I have an opportunity. That's right. I got a problem.
This.
Hopefully this poll will solve it. We'll check out the game after the DJ revolves it. We'll see what's going on.
Oh, and I just sent you something there. There might be a way to run a JavaScript tool that'll give you a downloadable list that we can put into a spreadsheet.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thanks, D.
Sounds good, guys. So that concludes our second episode of the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. Thanks to you, our listener, for putting up with our bad puns and the occasional dad jokes and somewhat uncut takes on all things video games. We hope you'll join us each and every week for the Raw Cuts Gaming Podcast. If you'd like to be a part of the conversation or just tell us how much you hate us, you can reach us on the Twitters at RawCutsGaming, or if you don't like using the Twitters, you can always send us an email to RawCutsGaming@gmail.com. D, where can people get a hold of you?
At NakedGamer84 on Twitter, and at noob with the zeros _NakedGamer on Twitch. And I'm going to try and be better about being on there.
Perfect. And we got the Raw Cuts Gaming Twitch going too. That's in the works also. Do some hosting there maybe.
Oh yeah, for shizzle.
Woodsy, if people want to hear your hot takes, where can we find you?
You can find me trolling at any video game thing on Twitter, all over the place. And if you want to flame at me, it's Woods _or_Wads, WODZ, at Twitter. So hit me up, and we'll see what's going on with that poll. Get at that poll.
All right, and you can find me, your resident trophy hunting host, on Twitter at CJ Reindl, all one word. So we thank you again for listening to our second episode. And we look forward to hearing from you guys next week. Bye,
yeah,
Mom.
we gotta go feed CJ's mama's dish now.
CJ's
Goodbye.
hey.